Pen podcast, where we dive deep into critical conversations about hot topics shaping academia and society. Today we're exploring a fascinating and often overlooked trend, the growing gender gap in rhetoric and composition studies. Once a male-dominated field, rhetoric and composition has become increasingly feminized over the years. But why is this happening? What cultural, political, and economic factors are at play? And what does this mean for the future of education and the humanities? My name's Abby Wall, and I'm here with my friend and colleague Vivian to break it all down for you.
Benny, no, you can't. That's too loud.
Let's start by looking back. Historically, academia, rhetoric and composition specifically, was overwhelmingly male-dominated. But the tides have now turned. By the 1980s, women reached parity in college graduation rates, and today, they outpace men in earning bachelor's degrees.
Yes, the numbers tell us a clear story. Studies show that by 2010, women comprised 57% of all college students. Over time, fields like rhetoric and composition, once seen as scholarly pursuits for elite men, became more accessible to women. But while more women have entered academia, barriers to their advancement persist. Women are still more likely to hold lecturer positions rather than full professorships, despite the reversal of the gender gap.
Wow, that's interesting. You'd think in a now female-dominated profession, it would be more female-led. I guess the patriarchy really does hold up in all spaces.
Exactly. That's something I think all of us in the field are working to push back against.
Yeah, agreed. So, why have men been moving away from rhetoric and composition, or just the humanities in general? A key factor is the social construct we all know too well, masculinity. Young men are often discouraged from engaging in fields associated with writing, literature, and art because they're labeled as feminine pursuits.
Absolutely. From an early age, boys are being conditioned to pursue fields aligned with traditional masculinity, such as STEM or the trades, while humanities are often seen as soft and impractical. This leads to a self-perpetuating cycle where men avoid these disciplines, further reinforcing their feminization.
You're totally right. The feminization of the humanities has less to do with women becoming a bigger part of the field, and more with anti-feminist backlash and the idolization of conservative masculinity. And all of this has long-term consequences. With fewer men in these fields, they are further devalued in the academic hierarchy. The humanities, rhetoric, composition, these are areas integral to critical thinking and communication skills.
Sorry guys, my cat was hanging off of the blinds.
The gender divide in academia isn't just about personal choice, but is shaped by broader political and economic influences. In recent years, we've seen increased political polarization in higher education. Conservative rhetoric often frames universities as elitist and dismisses humanities fields as impractical. For young men, especially those coming from conservative backgrounds, those ideas can be damaging, discouraging them from pursuing degrees in these areas.
Right. There's a growing diploma divide, especially among white voters. Those without college degrees tend to lean right, whereas graduates lean left. Conservative politicians capitalize on this by positioning college education as unnecessary, especially in the humanities. At the same time, the current American economic instability has made often expensive higher education less appealing for many young men who instead seek immediate workforce entry.
This isn't just happening in the US. Studies in Romania and other countries show similar patterns in the gender gap reversal. Women consistently are outperforming men in education, while boys are more likely to enter technical or vocational tracks after high school.
Yeah, research shows that in Romania, for example, boys are overrepresented in technological education while girls excel in theoretical and vocational routes. This suggests a global trend where traditional masculinity discourages male participation in higher education, particularly in the humanities.
To get a better perspective about what exactly is driving young men away from studying the humanities, particularly rhetoric and composition, we decided to interview a high school senior, Alex. Hey Alex, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good, great. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. How's your high school experience been so far, and do you plan to go to college? If so, what do you want to study?
My high school experience has been pretty decent. I've done well in school. I've always gotten good grades, taken a couple AP classes, stuff like that. Planning on going to Clemson for automotive engineering.
Very cool. What about the other guys in your class? Are they going to college?
I know a lot of guys that are going to college, but there's definitely a fair majority that are just going the tech school route. But I mean, I do kind of live in the middle of nowhere, so that makes sense. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with tech school, especially if school's not your thing.
Gotcha. That's very interesting. Do you think many of the guys that are in your graduating class that are going to college are going to study like the humanities, like history, the arts, English?
No,
Okay.
no, I would say almost none of them.
So what about you? I know you said you plan on studying automotive engineering, but have humanities studies ever interested you at all?
Um, I wanted to do automotive journalism originally. That was like the kind of the dream job, but I just kind of scrapped it because it's hard to guarantee. Like you can't really guarantee yourself a good salary with that kind of thing. Of course, like if I later down the road was presented with the opportunity to do that as a job, just based on experience in the industry, I probably would do it. And I enjoy writing, but there's just not really like a sure way to make sure that you're going to make a decent living if you're going into that side of things. Really, I mean, unless you have like a very specific plan of what you're going to do.
Gotcha. Well, what about in high school? Did you take any writing or literature classes that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, so I mean, I took all the like just basic honors ones just to get through, and then I took AP Lang so that I could get the college credit for that. And I mean, I enjoyed it. The only thing I didn't love about that class is it was like a very much like a time constraint kind of writing, and I like to put more thought into stuff than just to quickly jot down stuff. Um, but I mean, I just did it because I needed to do it. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily like I was excited about taking AP English.
Well, what did that class look like? Did you feel like the guys in your class participated as much as the girls did? Why or why not? Explain that a little bit.
I would say yes and no. I would say the guys definitely fell into the routine of the quick writing a lot easier. A lot of the girls would never finish their essays because they're so used to just like adding fluff, adding extra. I think that's tends to be the way girls like to write. Whereas most of the guys in the class already were writing things fairly like concise, and just the necessary information. So I think in that way we were kind of at an advantage. But when it came to like like we had to read the Scarlet Letter. I hate that book, and we had to like discuss things about it and stuff like that. And all of us guys, we hated the book, and no one cared. So when it came to stuff like that, no, we were not involved. We did the bare minimum.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just to get your final thoughts, do you think there's any particular reasons why guys your age aren't leaning towards fields like rhetoric and composition as far as English studies go?
I mean, it's 100% salary. I don't think I know guys who like really love writing, but if you look at the career outlook, with you're just not likely to make the kind of money that you can make with engineering or something like that, where if you have the smarts to do something else that you know is going to make more money, it just makes more sense. Plus, I think while there are guys that are into writing and stuff like that, there's less, less guys are going to be interested in that.
Gotcha. All righty. Thank you so much for talking with us today. It's
You're
so
welcome.
refreshing to hear your perspective.
I am a genius, so you're welcome.
Thanks. So, what do we do about all of this? How can we encourage more gender balance in rhetoric and composition while ensuring women in the field are valued and respected?
Well, we need to begin challenging outdated gender stereotypes and demonstrate the value of the humanities. Promoting mentorship programs, scholarships, and early exposure to humanities subjects for young men can help shift perceptions. At a broader level, we have to start advocating for equitable opportunities in academia, ensuring women can advance beyond lecturer positions and enter leadership roles.
Exactly. We also really need to change the narrative that humanities degrees aren't useful. Rhetoric and composition teaches us essential skills like critical thinking, communication, and argumentation. All of these qualities are vital for professions outside of the academic sector. Politics, business, and technology, to name a few. The gender gap in rhetoric and composition isn't just about numbers. It reflects deep-seated cultural, social, and political issues. But by recognizing these patterns, challenging stereotypes, and advocating for academic equity, we can build a more inclusive and balanced field. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, share, and join the conversation. What are your thoughts on this issue? Drop us a comment or reach out on social media. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Daily Pen